Hey guys, I am here today to recommend some books that I think you should read by Black authors. Yesterday I posted in my video that I felt uncomfortable making a man got shot, so here's my TBR kind of video. Like, that to me just feels kind of weird. If you want to do it, whatever. So instead of saying like, oh, these are the books that I'm going to read, because again, we should all be trying to read books by Black authors all the time. And I am making it more of a priority to specifically finish the autobiography of Malcolm X and Black Boy by Richard Wright, because I haven't finished those books and it's so embarrassing. They were both buddy reads and I don't know what is wrong with me. But anyways, I'm here to recommend books to you guys that I think are amazing and powerful and must reads. Hey guys, so I am editing this video. Kind of. Basically, I'm rewatching it to make sure that it is acceptable to put on the internet. And I am just noticing. So I feel like a little bad, because I feel like the language that I'm using with regards to talking about why I don't want to see TBRs is, I don't know. It's not like great, I guess. Basically, I just find it, I think it's frustrating. Like, that's so great that you want to read books that I'm speaking to someone, I haven't seen anyone say, here's a Black Lives Matter TBR. I'll be honest with you, I have not seen that. I just feel like that could be a thing that happens, virtue signaling, whatever. And so I just want to encourage people that instead, like, you don't need to make a TBR stating that you're going to read these books. You can just read them without telling us ahead of time, and then suggest them if you think that they are books that people should read. So that's like my only thing, is that I feel like by making a TBR, you're trying to project a certain image of yourself when you could just be that image by just reading the books. I can see with my eyes. I know what authors are, and I can search for authors if I need to. Like, I don't need you to specifically state, like, here is my Black Lives Matter TBR. Just read the books and then talk about them afterwards. So I just wanted to say that, like, and again, it's not, I'm not trying to say this like in a mean way, and I hate that I'm apologizing for this, but I don't want to discourage anyone basically from prioritizing books by Black authors. Like, I'm worried that me saying, like, or judging people for doing that is going to put people off. Not like I have that much power, I've got, like, not a large view count on a typical video, so my voice is not, like, particularly strong in this community. I don't want to make people feel bad about trying to change their reading habits, because you should change your reading habits. We should all change our reading habits. I'm included in this. I do not read enough books by Black authors. I'm admitting that 100%. So again, it's not, I'm not trying to say don't read these books, or like, obviously I'm not saying that in this video specifically, because I really, really think that you need to read these books. But just in general, I just want to make sure that we're actually following through with what we say that we're going to do. And also, I wanted to mention, because I didn't mention, I am going to link, I've already found another video by another Black booktuber that I think is extremely interesting and well done, and so I will link that below. And then I'm also going to continue to link Jamie, oh my gosh, well, I forgot Jamie's last name, Harrison, something like that, and Charles Booker down below. Spread the word, donate if you can. They're running against Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. And also, I'm going to be linking below different organizations that you can donate to. That support the Black Lives Matter cause. Jake mentioned that when he watched my other video, that, like, I should have posted links for that, and he is right. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to have it, like, be an automatic kind of link in my channel from now on, I think. So yes, I just wanted to mention that. I have different types of books from all over the place. It was really, really hard to pick, because there are obviously lots of good books, and I don't want to, I can't, so I'm going to start with some poetry. I do feel like I really wanted to read you guys a poem from each collection, and I started to do that, and then the video is going to be, like, way too long, because again, I have so many books picked out, so just trust me. I know you have no reason to, but please just trust me. So I've got 4 poetry collections to start with, and again, these are all really, really spectacular. I'm going to start with the first 3. So Jericho Brown, The Tradition, Magical Negro by Morgan Parker, and Insert Boy by Denez Smith. These are all just so good. I feel like you really see a person's true self in poems. I personally have a lot of difficulty reading poetry. I feel like it's really hard to understand poetry a lot of the time. But all of these are like very like easy to read. Like there's no like, when people are like very extra with their poems, like in the olden times. So these are all contemporary poets that are currently creating work, and all of them are really fantastic. This one in particular is the first one that I read. This might be I don't know if this is the first poetry collection that I read, but this is like one of the first, and this is like when I was like, oh wow, like that's what you can do with words? Like, what? And I'm so sorry. But again, just thinking about this collection, it makes me tear up because I think it is so powerful. All of these are spectacular, and like, I mean, that cover, can you really deal with it? It's so beautiful. So all these are really, really great. And then the other poetry collection is Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. If you haven't read this book, you need to read this book. This is, I almost feel like I should be reading this book like once a quarter, basically, because it's so powerful, and I can't even like to describe like what about it. You have to read it. And again, I'm not going to like read any section, and I assume that you know about this book, and I assume that every time it's republished, she adds more people that have been murdered senselessly, basically, and then next to it, she writes, because white men can't police their imagination, Black people are dying, and it's so powerful. This is definitely a must-read. This should be on everyone's bookcase, in my opinion. So the next I have poetry. I'm sorry, guys. My brain. A play. I have a play. A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. I don't know why that sounds weird coming out of my mouth. I'm a little disappointed because I got this in a Noir Reads box, and that box was so great, and I haven't gotten one, and I assume I should probably Google to see if maybe they have switched something. But anyways, this is a fantastic story about a Black family and just like living their lives, and kind of like there's like a specific struggle that they go through, but it's just, I think it kind of shows like different aspects of life, and of trauma is like kind of a strong word, but maybe trauma, hardship, and how different people deal with it, and like how things evolve from that, and like specifically like family interactions with regards to that. I thought this was also, I think this is a must read. I hope this is required reading in high school. I really think that it should be. If it's not, like, why wouldn't it be? To Kill a Mockingbird is, but this isn't. Like, that makes zero sense to me. No shade to that book. But anyways, all right. And so then I've got two memoirs. Heavy by Keith Lemon, I'm so sorry, and How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. Both of these are incredible memoirs. Both of them are by Black men. I wish that I had something by a Black woman. Obviously, I need to do better. But both of these are extremely, extremely powerful. Just, memoir by Black men living in two specific circumstances, but I feel like they touch on things that are just important to hear as a white person, basically. They're both really, really great. Then I feel like this one is just... So I'm going to talk about this book again because my video started like cutting out and being weird. But the next book that I have to talk about, or that I'm going to talk about, is Friday Black by Nunna Kwame. I should have still looked this up. Ajay Brenna. Ajay Brenna. and this is a perfect quote on the bottom, do need more, read this book by Roxane Gay. This is a short story collection that is mostly like speculative fiction, and it is so powerful. It talks about, Black bodies, it talks about consumerism, the whole like just our capitalist consumerist society like is basically, I mean, that's where this country started, and that's how we started abusing Black bodies to begin with. So this book is so good. In particular, the short story, Zimmerland, there is no way that I will ever stop thinking. Baby doesn't want to listen to me talk. I will never stop thinking about that story. That story is like imprinted in my being because it was so harsh and horrible to read. It's basically a land where Black people are hired to look a certain way or do a certain thing, so that white, I was going to say saviors, but that's not the right word, but white people can come in and basically like attack them. So like a Black person acts really aggressive, and then the white person's like, oh, I have to defend myself, and they can attack the Black person, and they pay to do this. It's honestly one of the most horrendous things that it hurts because like it hurts so much because it's not unrealistic. That's the hard part about the story. I mean, it's called Zimmerland to begin with, okay? So anyways, yeah, this is a must read. And I'm also really upset because after I filmed this whole video, I filmed the rest of this before work. I realized that I forgot to mention Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, and so I'm gonna like put a picture of it up here. I think that because of this whole like weird, some kind of drama happens about this book earlier in the year or last year, I forget. But I think that because of that, a lot of people read the book, and because a movie came out about it, everyone read this book. But it just like it really shines a light on the criminal justice system and how wrong it is. It really disproportionately targets Black men and brown men specifically. And it's honestly, I just like don't understand how it's possible that it's happening. And I know that's so naive and stupid of me to even say that I don't understand how it's happening. Like, whatever. But it's difficult. It's difficult to read because it hurts so much because you're seeing people being so mistreated. Children being mistreated just because of the color of their skin. I just can't. It's honestly, and I feel like I forget what the main arch of the story is, because I listened to the In the Dark podcast season 2, and so it was kind of like a similar thing where he like for the main, he goes into multiple things, but he's also talking about like a specific case for like for at least half of the book, and I can't remember which case it is specifically, but it's honestly, that should also be required reading. These should all be required reading for high school students. I even want to say middle school, like whatever. People need to start learning as early as possible. Anyways, I'm going to get off my tangent because I'm talking about other books later, but this book and Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, which I'll enter here, I would like to also add to the list of things you should read. Okay, hey, sorry, my video is kind of like getting kind of weird and choppy. So anyways, I have 2 classics that are must reads. Again, they're both by men, which is frustrating to me. I need to really make more of an effort to read Black women. I don't know. But anyways, so Native Son by Richard Wright and Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Both of these books, absolutely incredible. And just, it's hard because like good things do not happen in either of these books. Only bad things happen, basically. Maybe not only bad things in Invisible Man, but like basically only bad things. And again, I haven't read either of these books in a long time. I think I read this in 2016, and this one maybe 2015, 2016, I don't know. It was a while ago, so I don't remember like everything about plot. I do remember like very specifically a lot of the plot of this because it is like very, the things that happen are so emotionally moving that it's kind of hard to forget like the plot of this book. And if you have read this book, just if you're watching this video and you've read this book and you've also seen the movie Get Out, would you talk to me in the comments, because I have like a question for you. But anyways, So both of these are absolutely incredible. And it's hard to like say that again, because no good things really happen, but I just think it's important to read books that make you sad and make you mad and make you uncomfortable. Like, I think that's really important. And I know that we want to be protecting ourselves. Like, that is important to us as humans. Humans like to protect themselves. That's just like part of the deal. But I think that it's really important, especially if you are a white person. I feel like that's who I'm talking to in this video. If you could, I mean, not that I don't want everyone to hear, but I'm just from a white person. It's really important to see things, and I think that both of these books show things in a very, I mean, this one is specifically shows like, no matter how hard our main character is trying, like, he just cannot catch a break. White people are constantly trying to like mess him up and like his situation up, and it's just like, how are you supposed to have any level of trust for anyone at all? It's really, really good. So I really recommend both of these books. They're both kind of chunky, but that should not put you off. Please read them. So next I have some books that are like by African authors. There's two. I think they're both Nigerian. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe and Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I know, I feel like obviously in Africa there are different issues and problems than we have here in the United States. But I do think that these are still both really important. Americana specifically because she talks about like the immigration experience and people that are moving from Nigeria to, if you haven't read this book, you need to read this book. It's so good. But we've got two main characters, and one of them immigrates to the United States and the other one to the United Kingdom, and kind of like the differences in their experiences. The female moves to the United States, and kind of it shows, her relationships with different men, with white men, with African American men, with different people, just in general, like that are either white or black, and kind of how they view her. Which is different and interesting because she is from Nigeria as opposed to being a person that's born and raised in the United States, and how there's different, like, people are treated differently based on that kind of a thing. So this is, I think, really, I mean, it's also kind of a love story a little bit, but I feel like the most important parts to me are definitely the experiences of both of our main characters, like in the areas to which they immigrate. And then this one I think is really powerful just because it kind of shows how white people are just the worst. And I don't want to spoil anything. I didn't know anything about this book going into it, and it shocked me so much where it ended, because the two bits of the book are completely different. There's like, a first half and a second half, and they are completely different. And so if you're reading the first half, like, you think the book is about something, and then it gets completely switched. And this has the last line of this book, or the last paragraph of this book, is one of the most powerful last paragraphs or last sentences that I've ever read in my entire life. And it just shows you how just it blows my mind. And it really does. This book is so good. Also, please read this. Again, all of these books must read. I will link them all below. And I'm going to try, I usually link like bookshop.org. I'm going to try specifically to link Black-owned bookstores that sell like through bookshop.org, or that just sell in general. So just, sorry, my video is like cutting out again, so hopefully this is the last little bit that I have to refilm. So I've got 3 more books to talk about, and they are all kind of like revolved around like being a slave and slavery and those kinds of things. Not necessarily like specifically, but around that topic. So the first one that I have to talk about is Surprisingly Kindred by Octavia Butler. I do recommend this book, and I do think that people should read it, even though I had a less than favorable review of it earlier in the year. This book is really important, I think, to read. I do have a lot of issues with the writing specifically in the book, but the story is so good, and I mean, she must have done a great job with the characters, because I really, 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 really cried a lot at the end of this book. There's something, it just kind of like breaks you a little bit, and which is what I think it's supposed to do. You just feel so like hurt and betrayed at the end of this book. In case you don't know, this is like a science fiction like type thing where a woman goes back to the times of slavery, even though she is living present day, which I think is in the 70s, and she is a black woman, and she is dating or married to a white man, and so it is actually quite incredible, and I am really pleased that I did not DNF this book, even though my instinct was to, because I really disliked the writing so much. But I think that the story is more important than like my annoyance at the writing, basically. Like it's basically like a little bit of irritation to get to something very juicy and deep. So I do recommend that. I also have, of course, Toni Morrison's Beloved. I feel like all of my book choices are really boring because they're all like obvious choices, but this is, now that I'm thinking, I feel like the next book that I'm talking about kind of has like similar things, but basically like I think this is also dual. It has been a while since I've read this book too, but dual narrative, or like we're looking at different women in different kind of times, but they're related, and it's so heartbreaking. I remember little about the plot. This is like the opposite of Octavia Butler's Kindred, where like the writing in this is just so mesmerizing and beautiful, and it's just like so rich, and so it is, you have to be really focused to read this book. It is not an easy book to read at all, and the topics are really heavy, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be a woman in slavery having a child. Like the amount of hurt and pain to like think that the thing that you love most in the world, like your baby, is going to be like brought up in this way. Like I can't imagine the hurt that would cause. Like I really can't. So this is an astounding book. I feel like rewatching this video, I've said the word powerful for like almost all these books, but they are all powerful, which is why I'll picked all of them. And yeah, I would really recommend this. Oh my gosh, Jake is looking at me from outside, I think. He's really creeping me out. So yes, please read this book if you haven't. I'm embarrassed with myself. That's the only Toni Morrison book that I've read. I need to be reading more of her books. I have The Bluest Eye and Tar Baby, so hopefully sooner rather than later. And then the last book that I have to talk about is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This is a book that I feel like I've heard a lot of people speak negatively about, which blows my mind because I think this book is so good. I don't think I did. I think I read this last year, and I don't think that I did a top reads of the year, but I feel like I should go back and do it, and I think that this would definitely be on it. I think a lot of the issues that people have is that they feel like a disjointedness, like they don't feel so much when they're reading it, and I also felt the same way while I was reading it, until you get closer to the end, and it's just like, how could you not expect? I have a review video of this that I should go back and rewatch it and then or refilm it and then post it, because this book means a lot to me, and I'm really, really grateful that I read it. And I'm annoyed when people DNF this book, because it's just like, you need to read the whole thing. You need to read the whole thing, and then if you don't like it, then we just have differing opinions. But you can't not finish the book and then tell me that it's not a good book or that you don't like it, because so much happens and so much is unpacked, and just how brilliant he is with showing the different types of racism in different states. it's brilliant because, you've got the white people that are friendly to your face, but really they're like terrible and insidious and like taking advantage of you. You have the people that are blatantly like, like KKK is running the whole town. And it's really, really interesting how he shows like all of these different facets and different aspects of racism in society, and just how, how strong Cora becomes as you're reading it, and how like more vulnerable she becomes, and how much she like lets herself, because she's really closed off at the beginning because she's traumatized. Her mother left her in slavery, and so like, wouldn't that hurt you? That would hurt me. So it's really, I think, an amazing book. Also a must read. Please read it. Again, I'm going to link all of the books down below. Please read them if you haven't. And if you have any suggestions, obviously, I would love to take them. Give them to me, please. I watched Bree, who's amazing, and I will link her video down below. Again, she did a recommendations video, and so I guess I'm kind of stealing this video from her. Sorry, Bree. And she, Passing by Nella Larson is one that she mentioned, and it's one that like I've constantly been like, I need to read that, I need to read that, I need to read that, but I haven't gone out and gotten it. So I ordered it while I was watching her video because it was just like literally no excuse. I have zero excuse. So that is one that's on my radar that hopefully will come into my possession soon. But if you do have any suggestions, please let me know. I'm dying to read more. So I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully you found something in here that interests you. Again, you should read every single one of the books that I just mentioned. So yes. Okay, great.